Welcome to the Geek Homeworld. I am your host, Ed, aka Savage Tech Man. We talk sci-fi, TV, movies, superheroes, and all from a geek perspective. You can find us on Blogger, Google+, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We're everywhere. Join the Geek Homeworld. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Geek Homeworld podcast. I'm your host, Ed, and check out, like, subscribe, follow, smash that like button, hit that whatever you got to do, but just don't do it to Adonis Creed. Yes, we're here. I'm wearing my closest thing to a Michael B. Jordan shirt, my Black Panther Wakanda Forever shirt. You can see in the video there, so sporting that for those watching out there and watching the video here. Welcome to another episode. We're getting back in the stride of doing what we do here on the podcast, and it's been a while. This is going to be a quick review, spoiler filled. We're in what would be our third week, I guess, of Creed 3 being out. So it being the third week out, I'm finally getting around to reviewing the film. Did I like it? Yes, it was a good film. It had the strongest opening of any Rocky film, even adjusted for inflation, I believe, if I'm correct on that. You can fact check me on that if I'm wrong, but inflation's all over the place, so who knows? It was a good film. And like I said, spoilers. So if you hadn't seen Creed 3, come back to it after you've seen this. Take my recommendation, go see the film, then come back and watch this. And then you can leave your comments, questions, whatever, about the film, what you thought about it. Creed 3 did not have Rocky Balboa in it, and that's because of Irwin Winkler, one of the creatives behind the film, and Sylvester Stallone. They did not agree on the direction of, along with Michael B. Jordan, on the direction of the storyline of Creed 3. I can understand creative differences and all that. Stallone still gets an executive producer, he gets a producer credit on the film, you know, especially because he created the characters of Rocky, et cetera, and Creed. And anywho, you know, they're just some creative differences. So this is the first film in the whole Rocky franchise. It spans over 50 years, just about 50 years. And that Rocky Balboa's character is not in the film in some way, shape, or form. So it doesn't take a lot from it. And to be honest, it's been a while it's been a minute since we had Creed 1 and, you know, Creed and then Creed 2. Now we got Creed 3, and definitely with the success of this, Michael B. Jordan's already said that they're working on Creed 4, or they will be soon. So that's awesome. You know, it's good to see the Rocky franchise continue on, and now it's continuing on as a Creed franchise in its own right. And this film can stand on its own. We find Michael B. Jordan, when we get to this film, basically he's retired at this point in Creed 3, and he's raising his young daughter and his wife's dealing with her hearing loss, and she's still trying to continue as a singer, but she's more in the producer realm of things now, and she's doing the best that she can with her situation. And any Rocky film is about, you know, overcoming odds, overcoming obstacles, doing the impossible. Creed 3, of course, ends up with the obligatory fight that you see coming. But, you know, I kind of wish the trailers for Creed 3 had not shown you that there was going to be, you know, who the antagonist was going to be in this. And because the build-up, usually you get a quick build-up and then boom, it's, you know, very formulaic in the sense that, you know, you just get, you know, somebody ticks off Rocky or Creed in this case, and then they have to fight, and there's a big fight, and Creed wins, or barely wins, or gets beat up a lot, then comes back in the actual fight and wins, and then they make peace. And that's pretty much what happens in this film. So but what you see differently in this version in Creed 3 is that what I liked is it's probably a creative choice, definitely by Michael B. Jordan, but moving along with the story, they took time to give you the backstory, and they spent more time on the backstory and building up these characters, exactly what you should do. And a lot of films don't do. They just kind of, do a flashback to 2002, I think is when Creed and Adonis, or Donnie as they call him and his friend here, he's going to watch his friend in a boxing match that he's got going on, and essentially brilliantly played by King the Conqueror, gentleman from my brain just went like that, but anyway, we have Jonathan Majors, excuse me, I don't know, my mind just went there for a second, but yeah, Jonathan Majors, he plays about as tough an opponent that you could come across, and Michael B. Jordan's character, Adonis or Donnie Creed, this is his best friend, and it's like a Golden Gloves or some kind of boxing championship around 2002, and you're showing the younger Creed, and he doesn't tell this story to his wife, and he keeps his wife kind of shut away from that part of his life, and brilliantly played, by the way. I don't know if it's too soon to say any kind of awards are necessary, but Phylicia Rashad playing Creed's mother, or I want to say Mrs. Creed, to show respect. She does a wonderful job once again in this Creed film, and there's some important parts about that I'm not going to touch on here, but that she does a wonderful job, and he hides, there's something that she hides from him, and basically it's letters from his friend, and I had to look at it here. It's Damien Diamond Dame, like D-A-M-E, Diamond Dame Anderson. That's the character's name. That's his friend, essentially. That's Adonis's, or Donnie Creed. That's his friend. He's going to watch box, and then he goes there, and then they get into a little scuffle, and they notice that, when they Donnie attacks this guy named, I think Leon is his name, and he attacks him, and then Damien Anderson, played by I almost said Ryan Coogler, Jonathan Majors. Ryan Coogler helped produce this, by the way. Anyway, so I'm not editing this, by the way. This is just how I'm thinking here. I'm just trying to remember the story of the film, and so. Anyway, they get into a fight, and so Donnie pulls a gun on the guy Leon that he's beaten up and all that, and Creed runs away, and so he's always had that in the back of his mind. And over the years, he blocked it out, and as Damien would write him from prison and all that, and said when he gets out, such and such. So we're talking roughly 20 years later. He gets out of prison. Damien gets out of prison, and he comes back to, say, hey, what's up, with Adonis. And Adonis, of course, is, champion and everything, and he's retired. And he's helping do kind of what Rocky did for Creed and, and for Apollo's son there. And, they're training people and all that. And so he's working with a trainer at the gym, Adonis is, and, gave back to his community, rebuilt this gym and all this stuff. And so he's looking for a guy to spar with him, and there's really nobody to spar with. The particular guy he's got there that he's going to be putting up for a fight against another gentleman. And so Damien, or who later calls himself Diamond Dane, he gets in there and basically is just like a street fighter and just destroys the guy. So they need an opponent. So he ends up going for the title and wins the heavyweight title, beats Adonis's handpicked, kind of successor, or, next generation, whatever. And so then him and Donnie get into it a little bit later. And then, there has to be a big fight. And it's, there's one point where they actually block out everything. They're in a stadium fighting. And what I like about the film is one point what they do is they block out everything and you just see the two fighters, because in that moment they're in that. And you have different ways where it goes back and forth, the momentum either way in the final fight. And in the end, of course, Adonis is champion. So he comes out of retirement and wins the championship, I think heavyweight championship. And Donnie was pretty much a one in a million shot, but he basically kind of humbles him that way. And then Adonis, or Donnie, says to him, I'm sorry that, I didn't find, he finds out later that his mom was holding all these letters that Damien had been writing and why he was away in prison. And so Adonis says, I'm sorry, I should have been there for you and I'll do anything for you, blah, 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 all that. And it's a really good story. I'm not doing it justice here. And you'll see it when you actually watch the film, which you should. And like I said, it's got a lot of producers on it. One of them is Ryan Coogler, Wakanda Forever, and Black Panther, which of course, some of the great things Coogler's done. But Michael B. Jordan is a producer on this. Sylvester Stallone is listed as a producer. And we've got some other people in there. The story, Ryan Coogler, along with Keenan Coogler and Zach Balin. I want to make sure I say it right. So they had the story, and Zach and Keenan Coogler did the screenplay on it, and directed by Michael B. Jordan. So yes, it's a really good, if you love a fight film, it's a really good film. If you love a Rocky film, you're going to love this. Do you have to know anything about the Rocky saga? Rocky is involved in it. I mean, him not being here, you don't really miss him in the movie. So no, you don't. But would I like to see Sylvester Stallone in the movie? Yes, but they would have had to write him in. And you get to a point where, okay, Rocky, it's, why are you there? I get it, So even there's enough for Creed to almost be its own entity at this point, 3 films in, and especially that this is even more popular than each Creed film has opened higher numbers. So at this point, Creed 3 is on its way. Creed 4, they're on their way to being a franchise. I would already say it is a franchise. It's a franchise inside of a franchise. So, and Michael B. Jordan, he commands the screen. I'm wearing my Wakanda Forever shirt here because, Wakanda Forever, when it was a better movie because Angela Bassett helps carry that film. And also Michael B. Jordan showing up as Killmonger in there. And I know they had to find a way to bring him back. And I know this is a side note, but I would have recast T'Challa. That would have been my choice. I understand the creative choices they made for Wakanda Forever, but that's probably a discussion for another day. But Michael B. Jordan, I had to wear this shirt here. This is the only thing I had that was really like a Michael B. Jordan related kind of thing. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll wear this for the review of Creed 3. But it's definitely a very good film. I enjoyed the pace of it. As some films go, they can be very, of a formula type of how the film progresses, and it is. This is not groundbreaking filmmaking, not at all, but it's not the worst film you come across. It's an enjoyable film. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. So, should you see Creed 3? Yes, you should. You should go out and see it. And I'm not sure what else I can tell you about that. If you have any questions or any comments, like I said, I'm going to keep this nice and short. So, well, I'm just going to pivot a little bit and tell you where I've been. I actually kind of took a year off from podcasting. I didn't plan on it, whoever does. But, sometimes you just kind of need to recharge your batteries. I was doing some different things, doing some career shifts, doing some moving here, moving there. A lot of stuff going on in life. And, life gets in the way of creating. But I feel good to be back in my creative space here. I've got a new creative space that I'm working out of. And I'm still working on it. So the studio's not together. As you'll see, there's different parts of it. You'll see more parts of it later, hopefully, as I kind of decide exactly how I'm going to decorate things in here, and and all that stuff. So hopefully you will be seeing more content. I want to thank everybody who has listened to. We actually had a video version on YouTube of the post-Oscars show, which we just put up yesterday, because today's March 15th, so I guess I put it up yesterday, and on YouTube, and it's also wherever you get your podcast at. So Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, we're on there. We're everywhere. So Spotify, I think we're on there too, yeah, and other places. So wherever you get your podcast, you can certainly listen in audio format. But our post-Oscar special was a video one I did with Scott, a friend of mine, and who's been a great contributor to the podcast in the past, and hopefully will be so in the future. Plus, then before that we had an audio only, but it's also on YouTube, and you can just look at the name changes, because I hadn't even got the video up that day, but literally the day of, it's the pre-show, I guess that's what you call it, pre-show, and then we did a post-show. So the post-show exists in audio and video, and so does the pre-show, but true video, where you have, us on talking heads on camera here interacting. So, and this is my first solo show back in over a year, so if you want to call it that, so anywho, that's my thoughts about Creed 3, about being with the podcast. We're going to be doing some exciting things with the podcast. I hinted on our last episode yesterday that Scott and I had worked through our decades of film, going back to from the beginning of the film industry. And so we certainly have to update it. So I've got to look those up, find out where I put those in my archives, and we're going to slowly roll out some episodes, hopefully in the very near future, among other things. But that's one of the things I want to do, is roll that out. We'll be, talking about our favorite films of each decade. So we'll be rolling them out by decades. And it won't take decades, but I promise it won't take a year. But well, it might take a year. I don't know, because there's a lot of decades. It's over 100 years of film, so that's enough episodes. But we're going to be rolling those out, so that's something to look forward to here on the podcast, the Geek Homeworld podcast. I did not celebrate, I think, our 7th year. Was it our 7th year last year? Because I think we started in 2014 on the podcast here. I've got to check. I'm not even on my own computer here. I'm on my wife's computer, so working on a different one here. So I'll get a different setup altogether, and well, not completely different, but partially different. Anyway, so I love to talk. And I'm probably rambling on at this point, but well, it's my podcast, and I'll ramble if I want to. But anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments on YouTube. Please go over there to Geek Homeworld on YouTube and hit that subscribe button for new content like this. Hopefully, we'll be getting into some live streams later. I've got another content creator friend of mine, been friends with forever, and his channel's doing really well. You might want to check his out if you're into collectibles, like action figures and I'm just randomly grabbing an action figure I have right here. Like he does unboxings of action figures. This looks like a stormtrooper here. This is from Return of the Jedi, and here, or actually that would be from Return of the Jedi. This particular one over here, I'm just randomly reaching on the shelf here. For those who aren't seeing the video, they're just listening. This is Han Solo on a Tauntaun. It's actually a Christmas ornament. If you can tell real close, you can see up top there. There's a little thing where you can hang it on the Christmas tree. And so I'm going to be adorning the podcast studio here with some more, of my memorabilia and stuff like that. But anyway, my friend, the point is he has a channel that you might want to check out. It's a friend of the podcast. It's called Digital Caveman with 2 N's. Digital Caveman Presents. And he puts out, I think, daily videos, and he works really hard at it. He spends a lot of hours doing videos, and we may collab soon. I hope to have him on the podcast here, and we might do a podcast with him as well. On his end, I don't know. We'll see. But he's kind of got his niche market in that he's building a pretty good fan base over there. So if you want to show some love and just throw some subscriptions over his way, that would be fantastic. That's Digital Caveman Presents. He's on YouTube and Instagram, as we are. YouTube, Instagram, and all that. So I'm plugging my friend's channel here. So, it's all about creators helping out other creators. I'm definitely one that, believes in helping others out. So, that's a good thing. So anywho, I'm just rambling on here at this point. Well, I'm not rambling on. It's just a lot of fun. So anyway, thank you for listening to the Geek Homeworld podcast. This is our Creed 3 review. So if you haven't gone to the theater, and I do really encourage people, especially after watching the Oscars, it really, helps reinvigorate the fact that how important the experience of going to the theater and actually experiencing a film. Yes, you might have a great sound system. Yes, it might be cheaper, et cetera, but once in a while, just on some of those, especially those opening weekends, those are the ones that make the difference. You should go out and check out what's playing in your local cinema, and just, actually go to the theater and support the theater. There's been so many movies I've gone to see this year to almost more than half empty auditoriums. And if we want the theater industry to thrive and survive, let alone, like I said, thrive, but it's barely surviving. So you really need to go to your local multiplex or local theater or whatever and support them by buying a ticket and watching a movie and having some fun and escaping reality. It's nice to get away and learn something from a filmmaker's perspective. And there's so many people that are behind the camera and so many people that make that vision come to life. And it's very important that, people see that people, enjoy that theatrical experience the way it was meant to be. So anyway, I'm going to go and thank you for listening to this Creed 3 review here on the Geek Homeworld podcast. So like I said, we got a lot more coming. Check us out, YouTube, all your favorite podcast places. Leave us some reviews and good comments, and we love your interaction. So thank you very much, and everybody have a great day. And I'm going to roll the outro here. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Geek Homeworld with your host, Savage Techman. You can find us on Libsyn, Google+, follow and interact with us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, listen to us on iTunes and leave a review, subscribe to us on YouTube, read our thoughts on Blogger. See you again on the Geek Homeworld.